The final question that I have for you guys today is by Final Bit Boss Lynn. And he asks, what are the three main things you look for? The first would be neutral. The second would be offensive, defensive patterns. And the third would be to test if they know matchup specific things that I've labbed or know about. Let's look at the first one. The three main things that I look for. The first being neutral. As I mentioned earlier, when I start the round, I'm paying close attention to what my opponent is doing in neutral. What type of decisions he's taking in neutral. Is he going for buttons? Is he going for counter pokes, whiff punishing, jumping, special moves, drive impact, drive rush? What exactly is my opponent doing? How is he walking? Where is he leading me mentally? What type of seeds is he trying to plant in my brain? And what type of seeds can I plant in his brain? All of this is being assessed as the rounds go on. But the first 5 seconds is critical because it builds momentum. And if you can make the right read on your opponent based off of what they're showing you in neutral, then it aids in the confidence, the reads, the decision making, the adaptation, all of it. If I'm you, I would really focus on watching replays and watching the similarities amongst top players in the first 5 seconds of the replay that you watch. What I'm trying to say is, if I were to pull up 100 replays of Daigo Tokido, Mago, Bonchan, Mena, Momochi, top players that you can think of, and put them all side by side, and analyze the first 5 seconds, I bet that you would see a very similar pattern. There's, of course, anomalies, but I'd be willing to bet that that pattern would be a lot of walk forward, walk back, walk forward, walk back from both players. People think neutral is just, oh, do the walk forward, walk back. But it's so much more complicated than that. It's, I'm getting in the range of your button. I'm seeing if you press it. And if you do press it, then the next time I'm going to get in range, walk back out of that button and then whiff punish. It's also, I'm getting in the range of your normal. Did you press it? Oh, you did press it and I blocked. Okay. Rather than walking back, why don't I try to walk forward and see if you try to counterpoke me with something? Oh, you did? So you're pressing button into button? Okay, next time I'll get back in your range and then I'll block that button that you did, but maybe I might throw out something to counterpoke your attempt to counterpoke me. The layers go on and on. Another example, I'm going to walk in range of your normal, but I also don't want to get hit with something, so I'm going to walk back out just to be safe. Are you going to jump? Are you going to drive rush? Are you going to low forward? Are you going to walk up at me? Are you going to throw a special move? The walk forward, walk back is not only playing the button game, but it's also playing the safest way to approach neutral. Trying your best to be ready for everything that could happen in neutral, essentially. There's so many more layers that goes into it as well. But those are just few examples of what it means to walk forward, walk back. We're just trying to assess what it is that he wants to go for, so I can respond accordingly. Sometimes I might have to be the aggressor, depending on how I feel, depending on the player, if I have a read on this type of player, all of that. The next thing that I had written was offensive, defensive patterns. When I knock you down, what are the defensive patterns that you go for? Do you go for teching the throw on wake up? Do you go for backdash on wake up, jump on wake up, parry on wake up, EXDP on wake up, low forward on wake up jab on wake up, jump special move on wake up? Do you take the throw on wake up? There's 9 options right there that I just listed off. What do you go for? What is the best tournament strategy in order for me to respond to those defensive options? Because if I can crack your defensive puzzle, then I'll win. What's your offensive patterns? If I'm on defense, what are you doing offensively? Are you meeting me? Okay, cool. Maybe I might try to perfect parry that. Are you throwing me? Okay, cool. I don't really have to fear much besides just taking the throw. Nobody on this planet's going to throw you 10 times in a row. Let them throw you 3-4 times. See if they do that. See if they go for the throw that many times. It'll give you a tell on the type of opponent you're playing against. Okay, maybe I might respond with a backdash next time. If in the first round I lost because I took 4 throws, all right, maybe next round I'll just do a backdash. Somewhere in the midst of your offensive sequences, I might just throw that backdash in there and then put your ass back in the corner. Now you might be thinking twice about throwing, and if you're thinking twice about throwing, maybe I'll wake up with a back throw. Or I'll wake up with a button. Are you shimmying me? Ah, well, if you're shimmying me, maybe I might be able to wake up low forward. I'm doing all of this with the intention of taking the throw, because taking the throw will give you time to assess any major offensive decisions that your opponent will take. The last thing that I wrote here is test if they know matchup specific things that I've labbed or know about. Part of playing in that first to 2 or that first to 3 is using the allocated time to see, does my opponent know how to punish this? Does my opponent know that I can punish this? Has my opponent studied this interaction the way that I have? Has my opponent studied this scramble situation the way that I have? Is my opponent ready for something that I've cooked up that can mess with his visual? How does my opponent respond to double drive rush? How does my opponent respond to drive rush? How does my opponent respond to drive impact? This is what I mean by matchup specific things and little intricacies that could heavily change the tide of the momentum. One of the best examples would be if you are capable of perfect parrying certain sequences that you know your opponent would want to go for, because it's a trait that your opponent has shown, it's a habit that your opponent as a player has shown, but also because you know that the character itself is more likely to go for specific types of sequences. So you're ready with a perfect parry, which will crumple your opponent's mental state if they're on autopilot. This amongst many other intricacies that would take hours to be able to go into.